Rachel Zegler just keeps making things worse with the Walt Disney Company. The more that she tries to defend this movie, the more that she tries to spew her agenda onto the general public, it's only making matters worse. Not just for Bob Iger, but for whatever is left of the image of Disney as a whole.
I think this girl does not deserve a feature-length film.
You want to trash that legacy? That company that now Disney has screwed up the last 5 years trying to please a small percentage of minorities in America? Yeah, we're sick of it. So the more you do this, Disney, Iger, Zegler, whatever her name is, yes, this is exactly the backlash you're going to get from parents who have kids who are your customers. You're supposed to win parents over. You're talking to kids, the parents pay for the tickets. You have to be a dummy as a marketer. If I'm Bob Iger, you know what we're doing? Emergency meeting. We're putting Snow White on hold for 2 years, and guess what? Pay her a couple $1,000,000, go away. We're going to bring another person to play this role because you just screwed this thing up.
Things just went from bad to worse for Snow White, and it's shaping up to become one of the biggest bombs of all time.
Jonah Platt, whose father helped produce the latest Snow White film, had some very harsh words for star Rachel Zegler.
For context, Variety wrote a report recently titled Inside Disney's Snow White Fiasco, Death Threats, Beefed Up Security, and a Social Media Guru for Rachel Zegler. Evie Magazine wrote on X, when you compare how Rachel Zegler spoke about Snow White to how other actresses who played live-action Disney princesses spoke about their character, really underlines just how poorly she carried herself.
Disney just made one of the most embarrassing mistakes in its history, and it's all thanks to the Snow White live-action remake. What was supposed to be a magical reboot of a beloved classic has turned into a full-blown disaster. Fans are outraged, critics are slamming it, and Disney is reportedly on track to lose over $100 million on this film. Even worse, people are accusing the studio of destroying its own legacy.
I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed. She's unhappy. The reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings. I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
And if she hadn't have opened her mouth, I think that this movie might have done well. They might have just been able to ride on the hopium of the movie and some well-cut trailers, and people would have paid to go see it. And then it would have fallen off when people knew it was garbage.
I don't think they're going to buy it. I don't think they're going to watch it. I don't think they're going to like it.
But Rachel Zegler made it so hateable that you really sabotaged and took hundreds of millions of dollars from the studio. I don't know how anyone would ever want to go into business with her.
From casting backlash to massive box office failure, this isn't just a flop. It's a warning sign that something's seriously broken at Disney. So how did it all go so wrong? And can Disney recover from this? Let's break down the controversy that has everyone asking, has Disney finally lost the plot? In 1937, Walt Disney made a gamble that nearly bankrupted his studio. He poured everything, his time, his money, his reputation, into a single project. That project, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And it didn't just succeed, it changed the world. It was the first full-length animated feature film ever made. Nobody had done it before. People laughed at the idea. They called it Disney's Folly. But when it finally hit theaters, audiences cried. They cheered. Grown men and women sat in awe as hand-drawn characters came to life with emotion, depth, and magic. It was revolutionary. This movie built the Disney empire. Without Snow White, there is no Cinderella, no The Lion King, no Frozen. Heck, even the iconic Disney castle logo you see before every film, that's Snow White's castle. That's how deeply this one story is woven into the fabric of Disney's legacy. It's not just a film, it's sacred ground. So when Disney announced a live-action remake of Snow White, fans expected something breathtaking. Something that honored the legacy while refreshing the story for a modern audience. But instead, what they got felt like a betrayal. You see, remaking Snow White isn't just adapting a fairy tale, it's touching a cornerstone of animation history. A movie that's literally in the Library of Congress because of its cultural significance. This wasn't the time to experiment, to provoke, or to chase clout. It was the time to pay homage. But that's not what happened. The first red flags started appearing before a single frame was shot. The lead actress began trash-talking the original film in interviews, calling the prince a stalker and mocking the idea of a damsel in distress. The studio announced they were removing the Seven Dwarfs entirely. Yes, you read that right. And replacing them with magical creatures to avoid being offensive. Suddenly, the remake didn't feel like a celebration. It felt like Disney was rewriting its own origin story, and fans weren't having it. Imagine if Apple rewrote the history of Steve Jobs. Imagine if McDonald's denied inventing the Big Mac. That's what this felt like to Disney loyalists. They weren't angry because of change. They were angry because the change felt disrespectful. And that's the dangerous game Disney played, messing with a masterpiece without fully understanding the emotional weight it carries. This wasn't just a creative decision. It was a gamble with their own legacy. And as we're about to see, that gamble didn't pay off. When Rachel Zegler, best known for West Side Story, was announced as the new Snow White, the internet exploded. Not because she's a bad actress, far from it, but because of how deeply tied the original Snow White is to traditional European imagery. Some fans were confused, others angry, and a few outright hostile, accusing Disney of race-swapping purely for political correctness. Zegler responded publicly, saying she was proud to bring a fresh face to the role, and that people's strong reactions just show how passionate they are about the story. But things only escalated when past interviews resurfaced of Zegler criticizing the original Snow White, calling it outdated and problematic. That didn't sit well with longtime Disney loyalists, many of whom saw the remake as a slap in the face to the original's legacy. Then came the production drama. Filming took place in the UK, and despite efforts to go green, a damning report revealed that the Snow White remake generated more carbon emissions than Fast and Furious 10. Let that sink in. A Disney princess movie polluting more than a film famous for burning rubber and flipping cars. Combine that with a ballooning production budget, rumored to be around $270 million, and the studio was already skating on thin ice. The marketing push was huge, but behind the scenes, there were whispers that even Disney wasn't confident about the film's direction. The environmental backlash was just another blow in a string of PR nightmares. When the film finally hit theaters, it flopped hard. Initial projections were optimistic, but reality told a different story. According to recent reports, the movie is on pace to lose a staggering $115 million. For comparison, that's more than the total budget of many successful films combined. Analysts were stunned. How could a film with such a beloved name, massive budget, and a high-profile lead perform so poorly? Some blamed the marketing, others the controversy, and many pointed to franchise fatigue. But one thing became clear. Disney had bet big, and it lost even bigger. Fans didn't hold back. Social media was flooded with disappointed viewers, calling the film unrecognizable, politically preachy, and soulless. Critics were mixed, with some praising the visuals, but most criticizing the lifeless storytelling and tone-deaf updates to the original. The dwarfs were removed or replaced with a diverse group of characters to avoid stereotypes, but that decision backfired too, as many saw it as erasing the very thing that made the original charming and unique. It was becoming obvious. In trying to modernize the film, Disney had alienated the very audience it was trying to please. So, what now? Disney is in damage control mode. Sources say projects like the live-action Tangled have been quietly delayed, possibly even shelved. Investors are growing nervous, and the once foolproof formula of remake a classic, rake in billions, might be dead. This isn't just about Snow White anymore. This is about Disney's identity crisis. Are they chasing social approval, box office numbers, or do they still care about storytelling at all? Because the truth is, you can't modernize a fairy tale if you forget the magic that made it timeless in the first place. Now, here's where you come in. Do you think Disney should stop remaking its classics and return to original storytelling? Or was Snow White just an unfortunate misfire in a long line of hits? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We're diving into every theory, hot take, and conspiracy in the replies. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe for more movie deep dives, and ring that bell so you never miss another fairy tale turned fiasco. Until next time, stay curious.